Mm.
Hey everyone, welcome to today's program, Your Self Thin podcast. Today we're talking about starting over again, because for most of you, you've started over again hundreds or thousands of times. And it's such an interesting relationship because on one hand, you have to keep starting over again and again and again and again and again. On the other hand, though, you can start over again less each time, which I think is the secret to really succeeding. So to really understand what I'm talking about, I want to explain the concept of all or something. So typically, when people approach their weight loss, they're going to approach it with an all or nothing mindset, right? Where they haven't been doing anything, they've been off track, and now they're going to do everything perfect. And they jump into whatever plan it is. And it does not matter. It could be veganism, carnivore, Weight Watchers, intermittent fasting, counting calories. It does not matter. You pick something and you say, that is it. I'm going to focus on this 100% starting tomorrow. Tomorrow's usually Monday. And everything's going to be perfect from sun up until sundown until I reach my goal weight. And that's the idea of starting over. That's what we're thinking, that we're going to just do everything perfectly. And in that frame of reference, right, when you think I'm going to be perfect now, as soon as you make a mistake, it doesn't matter how big it is. You could be, I ate perfect for 6 days and then I ate a cookie on the 7th day and now I blew it. And this is one of the biggest issues with having an all or nothing mindset is as soon as you make even the smallest of mistakes, it can feel catastrophic. And so there's a tendency to make a mistake and then say, deflate, I blew it, and be done, back to nothing. And then a certain amount of time goes by and you get upset again about your weight, how you're feeling, what you're doing. And you say, that is it. I need to really take this seriously and I need to, start over again. And you jump into it again. Same plan, different plan, does not matter because you're going to jump into it 100%, expect to be perfect. And when you make a mistake, it feels deflating and on. You've experienced 100 times. You understand this. And I believe that it is the all or nothing framework in this situation that is the core problem. It's not even the diet. It's not even the diet you pick. All the diets can work for sure. It's how you're approaching them that's the core problem. And then you're approaching them with this all or nothing mindset. And so what I want to give you is an alternative to that allows you to, yes, start over again, which you will always do because you're always going to be off and on, okay, to some degree. But we want to be off and on within an all or something framework. And this is where everything changes because, yes, we can jump in. You can start your Monday wanting to be perfect, all the rest of it. But when you hit the mistake, instead of just saying, I blew it, you keep maintaining something. And that's the secret, because I think a lot of people think their success comes from going from nothing to going to all and being perfect with it. When I believe what's going to impact your success way more is sure, go to all, but what's way more important is going from nothing to something all the time. Does that make sense? So what's going on is, yes, we're starting over again. We're always going to commit more. Our energy goes up, our energy goes down. Life helps us, it hurts us. All of these things are happening. And so sometimes we can give it our all and be there, but sometimes we can't. And it's those times when we can't that we need to have a higher floor than doing nothing. And that higher floor could be something as simple as making sure you drink enough water, going for a walk every day, taking a minute or two to meditate. It doesn't have to be a big thing, just something that makes you feel like you're still in the game. And what happens once you start to approach it this way is you're always starting over again. Like I start over again. Next Monday will be the second, a new month. It's spring time's coming. I will feel this sense of starting over again. But the difference is that I'm starting from here as opposed to down here. That's the big difference, because I have learned to raise my floor and always do something. Even when I'm off track or making mistakes, I'm still continuing to do a lot of the good things. And so the difference is I've gone from operating in this place of going from nothing to all, and then back down to nothing. And now I'm still at my all thing where I'm really going guns blazing, all cylinders firing. But the difference is I never go to nothing anymore. The difference is now I'm always doing something. And so now I'm bebopping between here as opposed to bebopping between here. And that, in my opinion, is one of the most important pieces of managing your weight, is to not get that far off track, so that starting over again is a relative experience where you're starting over to go to all again. Maybe you're starting over again to focus on certain things again. But even when you're not doing 100%, you're still doing some percent. And the best benefit of this, I think, is twofold. Number one, mindset. You always feel like you're in the game. You get rid of that, oh, I don't want to think about that. We're always thinking about it. Now, sometimes we're thinking about it more. Sometimes we're performing at a higher level, and sometimes we're coasting a little bit and performing at a lower level, but we accept that and we acknowledge it. So I think the mindset feels so much better than walking this tightrope of perfection, just expecting and waiting until we fall. We get rid of that idea. And we may still feel like we're walking a tightrope sometimes, but now we're an inch off the ground. So it's not a big deal. We get right back on it. And so this all or something mindset is much more supportive and grounded. And the other benefit you get of having an all or something mindset is that the somethings really start to build up on top of themselves over time. And that's the biggest difference. That, 1 year from now of doing something really starts to be a lot. And if you can start to orient around your somethings and doing things that are relatively easy and small and simple for you to do, what happens, you start to stack those and you start doing those regularly, and you start doing them on autopilot, and you start doing them without having to think about it. And they start accumulating. So next year at this time, you're naturally drinking enough water. You're naturally sleeping better. You're naturally more relaxed and calm. And that allows you to perform at a higher level more of the time. So you want to start thinking statistically. You want to think of your weight loss more like a dimmer. We're turning things on and then we're dimming things down a little bit, as opposed to a switch where it's either on or off. And the more you start to think in that all or something relative way, I think the more you're going to start to find that you get much better results than you've gotten in the past, because it's a mindset and approach that's really built for long-term success, as opposed to the all or nothing mindset. And if you want to go deeper into this concept, click the link in my bio or go to Program Yourself Thin. If you're over in Facebook or YouTube land, I'll put this link in here. You can go here and get the hypnosis session. Again, strongly recommend it if you've never experienced hypnosis before, if you've never really approached your weight loss through a mindset focus, I would strongly recommend going to sign up for that, because not only do I give you that hypnosis session, I give you a lot of other tools you can use as well. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm usually here Monday through Fridays, here to help you all out, answer questions, and hopefully move you forward with your weight loss in a way that will be helpful and valuable. We are still dead on Instagram. Instagram just is not working, and I do not know why. So I apologize for my Instagram people, but I'll try to figure it out, and not having much luck. What's up? Pam says, thanks for the reminder. You're welcome. Yeah. I think a lot of times, with weight, what we're constantly reminded of is that we need to do all or nothing. And I think that approach, I think A, it doesn't work well, and B, it just makes you miserable, and it makes you apathetic, because you probably tried the all or nothing approach so many times and it hasn't worked, that you start to get apathetic about it. And I find a lot of people with weight loss end up there. Most people I work with are in their, late 40s, early 50s minimum, up till 70s. And, if you've got decades of trying to diet behind you, it's easy to build up the limiting belief that I can't lose weight, and in reality, it's the methods you've used to try and lose weight that's the core problem, more than you are the problem. It's that you haven't really learned how to really genuinely manage your weight. So yeah, if you have any questions about weight loss, though, feel free to ask them. Any questions are welcome. Obviously, I work with mindset and I have a whole approach, but I work with people in Program Yourself. Then it's not like a system. It's more of a system to figure out the system than it is the system itself. And the reason we do it that way is because I don't believe that there's any one size fits all plan for managing your weight. I think every person is so unique and different that if you're going to really truly master your weight, you're going to have to create the plan that works best for you, because you're just your own person, your own genetics, your own experiences, your own environment and situations that you're in. And I don't think that, it's I don't know. I just don't think that works well. Jane says, I am trying hard not to be annoyed that I didn't lose any weight since yesterday because I ate so well yesterday. All right, Jane. I say to you, I don't mean to laugh. I'm not laughing at you, but that's it's to me, I'm glad you brought this up. I'll carry on trying. Well, let's start with trying. All right. We should always be careful of the language we use. Because if I tell you I tried to close the door, I tried closing the door, do you think that door is open or closed? It's open, right? I tried and I failed. Try implies failure within it. So a lot of times when you use the word try, we're already implying failure to ourselves. And so you can say, oh, Jim, that's just semantics. I know what I mean. Okay. But I would much rather use another word than try most of the time. You know, sometimes try is appropriate, but most of the time it's not. And a lot of times it implies failure. So you can keep on trying not to be annoyed. And I bet that's probably one of the best ways to continue to be annoyed. So if it was me and I was annoyed, I wouldn't want to try and not be annoyed because, again, our subconscious minds don't understand negatives. If I tell you, okay, don't think about a yellow banana, what are you thinking about? Yellow banana. But I told you not to think about it, so why are you doing it? Well, because you have to think about it to make sort of the sense of the word banana. So if I say try not to be annoyed, try not to be irritated, try not to get so stressed, try not to be so frustrated, try not to be such an overeater, I'm filling your head with all these ideas of things you don't want to do. And I'm making them more likely because I'm putting those ideas in your mind. So you would be better off saying, I am trying hard not to be annoyed. I would switch that around to, and it's just a first step, folks. I'm not saying this fixes everything, but it's the first step I would use as a hypnotist is I would rather say something like, I'm working on being more patient with my weight loss. I ate well yesterday and didn't lose weight today. And I want to be more patient with that. I want to feel more grounded and calm with it. Now let's go deeper into that though, because fundamentally, Jane's in the program, so I'm talking to her a little bit on a bit more of a deeper level. But for you, Jane, one big thing for you specifically that you're going to have to deal with is your impatience. Now, your impatience is a result of your mindset. And your mindset, time-wise, is, I want to say broken. Actually, it's not broken. Your mindset is tuned up to make you very impatient because you're thinking in a time frame of, at this point, days, hours. You're thinking a time frame. Your weight loss time frame is hours at this point. 24 hours. And that is such a short time frame that it guarantees failure, like without question. There's no way you'll succeed with that time frame. You will discourage yourself way before you have any chance of success. It's like if I start a business and I say, Jesus, I worked hard all day yesterday. I didn't make any money today. You go to college and you're like, God, I studied so hard yesterday. I don't know the subject yet. I play guitar. I started practicing a song and I can't play it yet. Your time frame is completely broken. Completely. Yes, you are impatient. I am right. I know this. But please understand, you can't stop the impatience. The impatience is being generated by the mindset. And the mindset of yours is that for some reason, no, it's not your fault. Again, this is one of the things dieting does to us, is it installs a time frame of days, weeks, and maybe months. When in reality, you should be thinking about your weight in terms of months, years, decades, and forever. And the first thing I want to say to you, Jane, and really hear this, because this is, I think, a very important fundamental of creating a new mindset that makes you more patient, which is what you're going to need, is that weight loss is inconsistent and unpredictable in the short term. And it is predictable and consistent in the long term. And I'm going to give you a saying that I love, and I want you to remember this, that most people overestimate how much weight they can lose in a month and underestimate how much weight they can lose in a year. One day is not enough for anything. That is absolutely imperfect, awful. There's almost no connection between what you do today and what your weight's going to be tomorrow. Now, some people are different, but most people, it's inconsistent. And it works both ways. I mean, some days you could eat a bunch of food and then tomorrow you wake up, you're the same weight. So what I know, Well, Jane says, would it be better to weigh myself weekly instead of daily? I don't think so, because I think that's you just running away from the fear of being impatient. And I would rather deal with it. You're going to have to deal with it if you have any chance of success. You're going to have to deal with this. So saying you're going to wait a week is not fixing the problem. I think I would weigh myself every day and use it as an opportunity to reframe how I think about the timeline of weight loss. I'd like the first question, why you think eating less yesterday would show up as weight loss today. Because don't take this the wrong way, but it implies a complete lack of understanding of how your body works. Because it just doesn't work that way. Now, if you didn't eat anything at all, maybe, potentially, and then maybe not. That's what I'm telling you. I don't know. Weight loss is a very interesting thing. And I think if you go and look up some studies of like metabolic labs, I think it's very interesting because you'll see them put people into a metabolic lab and they account for their calories exactly the same. And at the end of the weeks that they're in there or months that they're in there, they'll all have lost drastically different amounts of weight. So, there's people that lose weight quickly, there's people that lose weight slowly, and everyone in the middle. And so let's just say, now, first, one day means nothing. I don't think a week means much. You've got to start thinking, I think in month-long terms, year-long terms. Oh, that's hard. I'm impatient. Oh, I mean, lots of things in life are hard. So what? Take it on. It's a challenge. Take it on as a challenge. Again, you can't just fight being impatient. You have to think in a different way. So again, I don't know what you've done in your life, but if you ever went to college, you had to think long-term. I would assume most big things you've done in your life that you're most impressed by have taken you a while to accomplish. So the idea that you're going to create some amazing results in a day, I don't even know what that means. I mean, rapid weight loss is 2 pounds a week. So how does that show up day to day? What are you expecting? What were you expecting today when you stepped on the scale? Pound down? And again, it reveals when you start weighing yourself every day, you start to notice that the weight loss is inconsistent and unpredictable. It works in ways that don't make sense in the short term a lot of times. And I think people get sabotaged by this because they don't understand how their own body handles weight. So, I mean, I like weighing myself every day when I'm losing weight, but it requires you to use that as a tool to not only track your weight, but more importantly, to start transforming your mindset into a longer time frame. I hope that helps. Someone without a name says, I'm 190 pounds at 17. I want to get down to about 155. What's the best way? Well, again, regardless of what age you are, and I don't really give advice to people under 18 because, I don't know, it just seems to keep me out of trouble. But for any person that wants to reduce their weight, you have to reduce your average calorie consumption. So the best way I think to do that is to look at your typical behaviors, the behaviors that show up daily or multiple times a week, afternoon snacking, nighttime snacking, portion sizes at dinner or whatever, things like this. You look for the most kind of consistent habit pattern that shows up regularly eating wise, and then go to work on that. So if it's nighttime snacking, you start to go to work on that, reduce the calories there. Then once you get a handle on that, then you move on to the next thing. And so the going from one weight to another weight, the process is always the same, that you're looking to dial down your average calorie consumption. So what's up, Vicky? Vicky says, breakthrough happens when you transcend all learn nothing thinking. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So true. All or nothing thinking. Yeah, all or nothing thinking is absolutely, it's a trap. It's a trap. And I don't know. And I dare you, any area of your life, I bet it's not all or nothing. You can't be all. You're a human. You got good days and bad days. There's ups and downs. And so when there's ups and downs, how can you, how if you're a human being, I find this all the time, with this person on here yesterday saying like, oh, just do the right thing. And I was thinking about that so much because I'm like, I feel like that's at the core of the weight loss issue, is because dieting is just so simple. Oh, just stop eating carbs. Oh, just follow the meal plan. Just these throwaway solutions, that just sounds so simple, but I'm wheezing here. They sound so simple, but when you go to see how it is to put them in action, well, it's a little harder, isn't it? And I think part of that is recognizing that you're a human being who's got ups and downs, and you've got your old programming and ideas and beliefs and all this stuff. And I think Yeah, I mean, the things that are going well, great. And the things that aren't going well, oh, just do it then. Okay, fine, just do it. But if you can't get yourself to do it, what do you do then? And this is where I find dieters have that's it. There's nothing there. Right. That's why it's all or nothing. You're either doing it. I'm just doing it. I'm going to do it. I'm doing everything perfect. I'm flowing. I'm not eating carbs. Right. You've all done this. You've all been on your diet and you're like, oh my God, I feel amazing. And I'm just flowing. I've lost a bunch of weight. And I feel better than I've ever felt. I haven't had a carb in 3 weeks and I'm not eating any sugar and and you're doing everything perfect. Right. Great. And then you're not at perfect all of a sudden. And as soon as you're not perfect, you just completely stop. It's all or nothing. And I just don't think that you can succeed that way. How could you? Because your nothing ends up being like 90% of the time and your all tends to be like 10% of the time. So yeah, you got to get past that, I think, to have any chance at hell of actually getting it done. Jamie says it's not linear. It's not linear. I don't do this anymore, but I used to, when I worked with a lot of private clients, we would track their weight on an app. And it was fascinating because I can't remember ever a chart that went like that. Like weight start here, weight go down here, straight line down. The chart was almost always, it was a trend line. But the moments to moments, the month to month, you'd zoom out and look at it. It was a jiggly, jaggly line. And I think that's the idea you should put in your head more. If you want to see, like my favorite example of this is Virginia Satir was a family therapist, and a lot of NLP was modeled off of her work. But she has such a great, it's an image. You could search it up, so it takes 2 seconds. I should print it out. I've been thinking about that because I thought I was going to be able to stream to TikTok through my restream and then be able to start showing things, which would be cool. I don't know what's going on with that. So anyways, but basically Virginia Satir model of change. If you search that, it's basically, I think most of us think we're going to start here, again, with weight loss, we're going to go down straight line. But if we're going to start here and we're going to get better at something, we're just going to get better a straight line. And rarely is that process a straight line. And so Virginia Satir's model of change is kind of like you start here and it's like, it's all a bunch of, it's shit everywhere. And then you make sense of it over here. And I think that's the most accurate description I've seen, that when you start making change and doing something new, it's jarring, it's disorienting at first. And it's not just a straight line of success. So yeah, Jamie says exactly. It's a downward trend over time. So we're looking for the trend. That's the thing. And I think with dieting, and again, by the way, I think how all this makes sense the most is to realize and understand that the diet industry is a branch of the food processing industry. We've been programmed our whole lives to be overweight. And honestly, most of that programming is coming from the diet industry. The diet industry is literally owned by the food industry. Weight Watchers was owned by Heinz. Jenny Craig was owned by Nestle. Atkins Food Products was owned by the same company owns Auntie Anne's Pretzels and Cinnabon. Slim Fast was owned by the same company owns Ben and Jerry's ice cream. And, Heinz bought Weight Watchers so that they could have their meetings in the back of freezers in the early days, so they could sell their shitty frozen meals. So, you have to look at if these diets were effective in any way. Would these companies really promote them? Would these companies in any way want people to not eat their bullshit and be happy and healthy forever? I don't see how that makes any sense. And so I think they push these diet concepts and ideas, and it's a two-stage, at least a 2-phase conditioning system. Because on one hand, they give you the plan and they say, oh, just do this. But on the other hand, they're always subconsciously programming you how to think about weight loss in a bunch of different ways. And one of the big ways is they make you think about weight loss in this big of a time frame, right? And you get to places where Jane's, oh, I ate weight yesterday. How come I lose weight today? Now that's a little shorter than the average person, but most people are within the term of a week. I ate well last week. How come I didn't lose any weight? Well, sometimes it takes your body longer to lose the weight. You might be a slow weight loss loser in the beginning, that it might pick up. You don't know. You don't even know how you lose weight. You don't even know how you lose weight technically, I bet, folks. How do you actually lose the weight, literally? Do you know? I said, well, I poop it out, pee it out. Not really, no. You breathe it out. Actually, exhale the extra calories, the burned calories. But what I'm trying to say is that this thing that's so obsessively a focus in your life for most of your life, you don't really even understand how your body operates with the weight. That is why I suggest people weigh themselves every day. I think that's the purest, clearest, cleanest way to start to truly understand how your body responds to your behaviors, good or bad. You step on the scale each day and you start to see the biggest thing I learned, let me tell you, the biggest thing I learned from weighing myself every day when I was losing weight was that my body seems to take about 2 weeks for the effects of my consistent behavior change to show up. And that works both ways. And so the first one is if I start eating better, and by better, I mean lowering my calories, I start reducing my calorie consumption, I won't notice a consistent reduction in weight for about 2 weeks. And realizing that was absolutely essential for me, because now when I start wanting to lose weight, in my mind, I've got a 2-week lag time because I know how my body operates. So if I do well the first week and my weight doesn't change, I know I expect that. For me, I feel like it takes about 2 weeks. And the flip side learns too. Now, the flip side, okay, I had to learn a second time. And I put 25 pounds on to learn this lesson because I started eating more. This was about, holy shit, how long ago? 14 years ago. I put 25 pounds on. And we had moved into a new house. We're redoing the whole thing. I'm running a business. I just had a brand new baby. We didn't sleep well. And I was exhausted. And my eating got off track. And I knew it was getting off track, but I stepped on the scale and I was like, oh, hasn't changed. And I started thinking to myself, I said, geez, maybe something's happened here. I can eat whatever I want. It won't. So that lag time caught me because I got in my head. I was like, oh, I can eat whatever I want. Now it's funny because I think I weighed myself a couple times, maybe in the first month or whatever. And then I remember thinking, I don't need to step on the scale. I think I was low key avoiding it. And then I started putting weight on. And it wasn't until I went to the doctor's office, I was like, holy shit, I put 25 pounds on in like 5 months, 6 months. And I said, oh my God, I got myself back on track and all the rest of it. But again, understanding how my body responds during weight loss is, I don't know, without that information, it would be a lot harder, right? Because I would be, oh, what the hell happened? What happened? I thought it was working. Oh, it's not working. I got to do something else. Oh, this doesn't work. Oh, my metabolism's broken. I start coming up with these stories I start telling myself, when the reality is that there's a lag time with my particular body. Now, someone else they might be a fast weight loser. They might start losing weight 2 days in, but how are you going to know what your situation is if you don't pay attention over time, good and bad times, to what your weight's doing? What are you basing your expectations on? Right. And again, I Jane can take this, and I appreciate Jane asking her questions because I know a lot of you are thinking this stuff anyways. But why, Jane? Again, this is why I want you to come back. I want you to question that mindset you're coming out of, to be impatient, to say, why would you expect that eating well yesterday would show up as weight loss today? Why not eat a good meal now and not step on the scale right after the meal and weigh less? Or here's another one. Go eat a big meal and then go step on the scale and wonder why it hasn't changed. Don't make a poop and then weigh yourself and wonder why your weight didn't change. I don't have the answers to these questions, but what I'm telling you is that these are real things, and you don't have the answers to them either, probably, but use that information to weaken this rock solid structure that you believe you should lose X amount of pounds in a week if you do well. What are you basing that on? Because your neighbor lost some weight? You know what I mean? Like, I just think when you really reflect on what your expectations are and why, it crumbles real quick. And again, that's why I think weighing yourself regularly is a good thing. So I think it clarifies that, if you're able to manage the mindset piece of it. What's up, Kent? Ken says, PYT is like a never-ending road trip. Sit back, relax, and enjoy all the new experiences. Diets are like the kid in the back seat always asking, are we there yet? Oh, man, Kent, screenshots. Yeah, screenshots. That's awesome. I love that. Kent's in the program and a superstar with it. And I love when you share that stuff, Kent, because I've never heard that. I've never used that metaphor. I think that's beautiful. I think that's a great one. And it's perfect, because it's a much deeper, in my book, The Tao of Living at Your Goal Weight. I always forget to mirror this until I show this book. The Tao of Living at Your Goal Weight. One of the first chapters in this book is the never-ending journey. It's the third chapter. It's so important, right? But it's the never-ending journey because, this is one of the first things you got to do if you're serious about your weight, right? Dieting has conditioned you to think of weight loss as a temporary thing. You're going to do these changes until you get to your goal weight. But if you take a step back and ask the question, how long you want to live at your goal weight, I'm going to assume your answer is forever. which means that this is a never ending forever journey. So what's the rush? What are you rushing for? You know, it's like rushing tonight to go brush your teeth is really, really good. Well, why? You got to brush them again tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like relax. And I think that the more relaxed you are, not only will you get better results, but you enjoy the process. So yes, agreed, Ken. I love that. So thanks for sharing that. Vicky says, as you always say, one tactic and you'll be in nirvana. Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's stagnant one-dimensional thinking. Yeah, again, what Vicky's referring to is a lot of times, like the diets, it's always about one thing. You know, every diet is about changing one thing. And usually it's a macro-oriented focus, right? So, I'll get rid of carbs, get rid of fat, and get rid of sugar. You got to always get rid of one thing. Always change one. Oh, stop eating for 16 hours. Just change one thing and everything changes. Bullshit. You need, I believe, you need a comprehensive, holistic strategy to master your weight. That's why, again, in Program Yourself Thin, we use the goal weight pyramid. And I think this is a much more comprehensive and robust approach to changing your weight: mindset, lifestyle, and eating, and learning how to run your mind. And those are the 4 things that I don't know. I say this every day. I don't know how me giving you a plan on a piece of paper is really going to help you lose weight. Because that implies that the main issue you have with your weight is that you don't know what to do. And I would bet $1 million there's not a person here that doesn't know what to do to at least get some results. Now, again, I get it. You can always learn more to really refine things, but I bet you know. So the big issue isn't knowing what to do as much as it's not knowing how to get yourself to do it consistently. That's the bigger issue. And no diet really answers that question. So yeah, I think you need multidimensional thinking if you're going to get your weight under control. Yeah, Vicky. Yeah, exactly. Vicky says, and that mentality keeps everybody on the proverbial hamster wheel. Yeah, agreed. The all or nothing diet mentality absolutely keeps you on the hamster wheel. That's why I think your weight is primarily a mindset issue. And you may not see it as that because you may not realize that you've literally been you've been hypnotized, conditioned, programmed, however you want to say it, by the diet industry. And it keeps you stuck more than anything else, certainly more than your lack of willpower. Jane says, I do find it helpful. I do find myself thinking that no food tastes as good as thin and healthy feels, and that's helping. Yeah, it's a great mantra. I love that mantra. What's up, Sherry? Sherry says, hi, Jim. I love that you've taught us to use the scale as a tool. That's a big hurdle, but really helps. Yeah, I mean, the scale for a lot of people is like a weapon against them. They're terrified of it. And I think, again, I'm not saying it's just, just start stepping on the scale. That's it. I think there's work to be done. There was for me. Again, there's a lot of emotion wrapped up with the scale, but at the end of the day, the scale's not the problem. And where you really want to get to with the scale is you want it to feel like the speedometer of your car. It's just another tool to measure where you're at. You don't freak out. You're not terrified to look at the speedometer of your car. I guess you are if you're getting pulled over and then oh shit. But if you're just driving, you're not scared to look at the speedometer of your car. You look at it, you're going too fast, you slow down. You go too slow, you speed up, and it's just a reference point. But again, that whole example explains the real issue, though, that for most people, the reason the scale is not the issue of why you're so stressed and fearful. It's that you don't really know what you're doing. You don't really know how to change your weight. And the scale just reinforces that. But once you know how to manage your eating and your mindset and your behaviors, but what's the word? By extension, that's the word. Jeez. By extension, your weight. Once you know how to manage your weight, the scale becomes a tool, not something to be feared. So Bridget says, just received my book in the mail. Now the goal is to read it. Yes, Bridget. All right. And remember, the way you read this book is a little bit different than how you read normal books, potentially. Now, you could certainly read this book like any other normal book from page 1 all the way to the back. But what I want you to understand is that this is a book as well that you can just pick up and open any chapter you want. Go to the table of contents there and just pick out a chapter you like, and just read it. Now, because this book is meant to be, you can go through it linearly or you can just go through it spontaneously. It's up to you. because even just randomly opening up a chapter and reading it'll be something that'll impact you. Each chapter is a hypnotic story. It's designed to change you as you read it. So in that sense, yes, there's a linear focus as well, start to finish kind of thing. We go through it all. But really the main goal of the book is that each time you read something, it starts to influence how you think and feel about things. So great job, Bridget. I'm proud of you for taking action, getting it. And yeah, you're right. Now read it. So keep it in a conspicuous place. Put it by your coffee table, by your bed, in the bathroom. Put it somewhere where you'll remember to see it and are likely to pick it up. Yeah, Lori's saying just started following. What book are you talking about? Yeah, talking about the Tao of living at your goal weight. And so the Tao is it's kind of like the idea. Tao comes from Taoism, and the Tao Te Ching was a huge book for me in my life. And if I had to summarize what the Tao means to me, it's flowing with things. So instead of, I think with weight loss, it's always this battle, right, where we're fighting against ourselves. And I think we waste a lot of energy with that confrontational battle. So the Tao is this idea that how can we flow? How can we work with ourselves and with our situations to create the weight that we want in the most comfortable, enjoyable way possible? And so that's kind of the overriding goal of the book. And the idea as well is living at your goal weight. So it's not just about losing weight. It's about literally how do you live at the weight you want to live at? And it's designed to be a very accessible, easy read. So like I said, you can open up any chapter, and each chapter is a page or two. And it's designed so you can read it and it makes you think about things differently. And that's what I think you need more than anything. So again, you can get this book over at the place they sell books online. I don't want to say it yet because they'll restrict me over on TikTok, but you can get it. And the digital version is $2.99. The physical version is $9.99. So it's I don't know. It's about the best deal you can get. At this point, I think we had 80. I was going to say 82. I've been saying like whatever the number is, 5-star reviews, but I got my first 1-star review the other day. And she goes, it's a funny review though to me. It said, this alleged book's just a collection of stories and poems. I do not recommend. Well, it is a collection of stories and poems, but they're hypnotic stories and poems. So if this person read through them, they would start to notice that the point is that those stories and they're not really poems. They're stories. These hypnotic stories, by being read, are designed to help you change the way you think. Sherry says, knowing and doing is really helpful to me right now too. This is the real work, not to keep learning more, but to keep practicing more. Yes. Knowing and doing. Yeah. Chapter 30. That's the stuff. I love this book. I'm telling you, this book is the culmination of, I've been working on this for over 30 years personally, over 20 years professionally. And this book I love so much because it's the book before the book. I am working on another book that's a much more kind of conscious, do this sort of thing. You know what I mean? Here, all the steps of everything. But I love this book because it's just really, really easy reading. And it's just easy to read. It's part of how it was designed to be experienced, So yeah, knowing and doing is a great chapter. So, Laurie says, program yourself thin. What's the name of the book? Just started following you. Oh, yes. Yeah. There you go. The Tao Living Your Goal Weight. Never Ever says, what's your take on spirulina? I have no take on spirulina. I don't know anything about spirulina. I'm not a big fan. Well, I mean, listen, I think there's a whole level of optimizing aspects of your health and stuff through supplements and all that other things. I don't know anything about that. And so I couldn't speak to that. But all right, I gotta get out of here. Again, thanks so much, everyone. I really appreciate your questions, your comments, as usual. If you are not in my world, click the link in my bio. Again, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can click the link I put in the comments. If you're on TikTok, you can click my picture up on the top left. It'll bring in my bio. Click the link. It'll take you 10 seconds to get the hypnosis session. Go check that out. It's a great session. The New Thin Me, it's a kickstart session. I'm here every Monday through Friday. So if you have any questions about your weight, pop in here and ask them. Let me take a swing at it. Maybe I'll be able to help you. And I do that every Monday through Friday, usually around noon Eastern. And if you can't make the live and like to listen to this, it's also a podcast. So you can any podcast platform, search Program Yourself, then it'll pop up. You can listen whenever you like. And the book. This book is available over at Amazon. You can get it, again, Kindle version's $2.99. Physical version is $9.99. I recommend the physical version. It feels cool. It's nice to have in your body. It's got a nice energy. I'm telling you, it's a nice book. So Go check that out if you're interested. People are saying it's the best weight book they've ever read in their lives. So again, we had 82 5-star reviews, but now we got 82 and it says 4.9. But there we go. All or something. I don't need perfection to be happy and feel satisfied in life. All right. Lori says, all right, just ordered one. Nice job. Yeah. Again, I think this is a great book, and it does serve one other purpose. This book actually goes through the entire Program Yourself Then system in order. So now, if you don't really know about the Program Yourself Then system, it's fine, because it's literally written for someone who's never heard of me before, ever. Okay. But it's going to take you through all the pieces of the program. So if you're in the program, it's just another way to internalize this whole system, And so we've got the deep dive trainings and all the other aspects of the program, but this book's a nice way to do it, because it just hits you from a different angle. It hits you from a hypnotic side. And that can be really helpful for really getting mastery over the material. So yeah, that's available. All right, everyone, have a super weekend, and we'll talk soon. Bye, everyone.